If you hate getting passed up at the net and you want to be more successful when you approach, then you've clicked on exactly the right video. I'm going to show you where to aim, where to stand, so that you can cover your opponent's passing shots with ease and win more points at the net. We're going to be doing a lot of real-life point breakdowns and showing you pros and cons, thumbs up and thumbs down, what you should do, what you should avoid. But first, let's talk about the geometry of the court, because it all starts with that. Let's go right to the analysis board. This is the core of being successful at the net. You have to understand where your positioning should be and how it relates to what your opponent has available. So let's just say you're approaching the net in singles and you get a short ball, you come forwards and you hit the ball just right in the center of the court. And you position yourself right in the center of the court. This is very simple and straightforward. Your opponent on the other side has kind of two main options to try to hit around you. He or she could try to hit in this direction to hit past you, or they could try to hit in this direction to hit past you. Either way, you've put yourself right in the center of those two options. You've got the same distance to cut off this passing shot as you have to cut off this passing shot. Everything is balanced. Now, that all totally changes when you hit the ball someplace else. If as you approach the net, you put the ball off into this corner, and your opponent runs over to that side to hit a passing shot, now everything completely shifts. He or she could hit in this direction to try to pass you, or it could try to hit a sharp angle in this direction to try to pass you. Now, things are very, very off balance. You're very close to the cross-court shot, and there's all of this space down the line. And so the correct position to be in at the net in singles, anytime the ball is off on the left side of the court, you want to position yourself a little bit to the left side of the court so that you're halfway in between those two options. In the middle leaves way too much space down the line. On the other hand, if the ball is all the way on the right side of the court, in the middle, again, will leave way too much space open over here, and you've got everything basically locked down on the other side. So the correct position to be in at this point is slightly staggered on the same side of the court. So a good rule of thumb to remember is just simply you should always be on the same side of the court as the ball. And to the degree the ball travels away from the middle is how far you should move away from the middle. If the ball is just a little bit off center, then you should be just a little bit off center in order to be in the correct position. If your opponent gets pulled by an angle way off the court, then you should be pretty far away from the center to be in the correct position. This is why when you watch tennis on TV, commentators are always saying, oh, you should make sure to approach down the line. Because when you approach on a short ball, let's kind of reset everything here. Let's say that you're a right-handed player and you get a short ball to your forehand and you hit it right about here. When you hit down the line, and this is your target, the place that you need to get to be in the correct position is somewhere about here, before your opponent hits their next shot. On the other hand, if you hit a ball that goes cross-court, then your correct position to be in the right spot is somewhere about here. So you can either travel this far to be in the correct position, or you can travel this far to be in the correct position. Which one would you rather do? And this is why the rule of thumb is to, in general, approach down the line, because you only have to move this far to be in the right spot, as opposed to having to move all the way over here to be in the right spot. And remember, when you're at the net, time is at a premium. You're close to your opponent. So it's easy for them to hit around you if you're in the wrong position. If this is already helpful for you, do me a favor and click the like button. And now we're going to transition over into looking at real life points so you can see how this plays out in real life. So here's a matchup between Mark and Cole on the other side. If you haven't seen this entire match, make sure you do so. I'll put a link to it in the first comment down below. So watch this point play out. As Mark serves, Cole just kind of blocks back a short ball. Mark tries the drop shot, and Cole approaches. Now this point just ended right at the approach, but there's a lot of thought that goes in from Cole's point of view here as far as how he approaches. As soon as he identifies that this is a short ball and he's going to come forwards, he's got two main options here. I mean, down the middle, yeah, technically it's an option. Against a strong player with big weapons on both sides, you're probably not doing yourself a whole lot of favor by just hitting it right to the center and giving him the choice of which shot to hit and what direction to hit. It's an equal opportunity. So here, really, he's got two main options. He could try to go cross court. Mark's actually a little bit over on that side, or he could try to go down the line. And remember the lines we drew before. When he goes down the line, his position is going to end up being about here that he wants to get to after the approach shot. Whereas cross court, his position would have to be all the way on the other side of the court. When you're at the net, anytime you hit across the center, your whole body has to also move across the center. And so between the time that he hits this shot and when the ball gets to Mark on the other side, there's not a whole lot of time for him to cross the center, break the middle, and get to the other half of the court. So this is a great example of Cole being mindful of the geometry of the court and his positioning and hitting himself into position. By going down the line and keeping the ball in front of himself, all he really had to do here after hitting the ball was just gather his balance and then make a split step right here. And so he's ready for the incoming ball without really having to move anywhere. All the movement's been done by just running to the ball. But had he hit across, he would have had twice the movement in order to get into position. And so we could back this up even a little bit further and kind of ask the question of Mark, in hindsight, how does he like this drop shot? Because you got to realize, if you're thinking multiple shots ahead and you're playing chess instead of checkers, if you just kind of think about this shot, well, if I purposefully drop shot over here, and then my opponent comes forwards and approaches, and I'm on the other side, and I know he knows that he should go down the line to be in the right position, all of a sudden, Mark just creates a lot of running for him to have to get to this ball. Had he drop shotted down the line, then the smart shot for Cole would have been to go down the line here. And Mark puts himself closer to where the next logical shot happens to be. So just a little bit, in reality, there's a lot of other stuff going on. And I'm sure Mark will probably comment down below. Mark, what are your thoughts on the shot selection here? Feel free to just be like, Ian, you're stupid. You weren't thinking about X, Y, Z. Like that's a very strong possibility. Curious to hear what Mark thinks. But just kind of a little bit more inside baseball for you to think about. Anytime you choose a shot like this, you have to keep in mind, what's the next smart shot? Because when Mark hit this drop shot, he creates a tough situation where the smart shot from Cole is all the way on the other half of the court. If you're looking to fully master your net game, then go to EssentialTennisAcademy.com right now and sign up for a free trial of this membership area. Because inside we have a module called Pinpoint Volleys. That'll show you how to place your volleys on a dime. You can get free access to it right now at EssentialTennisAcademy.com. Now we're going to see what happens in an example where Mark happens to be hitting a cross-court approach shot. So I'll play this through first. Really nice exchange between Cole and Mark here, exchanging heavy, deep topspin shots, which we're going to be talking about in a lesson coming up soon, by the way. Then a short ball that Mark transitions forwards on, and Cole hits a passing shot. This is it. This is the shot that I think it's so instructive. Once you identify that, oh, this is it, this is my chance to transition forwards, it's not as simple as just knowing the geometry. And it's not like I'm picking this out because Mark is wrong. There's other variables that you have to be aware of. Namely, right here, you've got an opponent who normally the forehand is going to be the stronger shot, and the backhand, this is a right-handed player, generally is going to be the weaker shot. It's not always going to be the case. Some players are going to have killer backhand passing shots, and so you just need to be aware of this. But just going by just the first layer, just the first level of awareness, knowing the geometry of the court, Mark puts himself in a tough spot here by hitting from the left side of the court and then targeting the right side of the court. So when this ball lands, watch the direction Mark has to move. He's going to cut forwards and to the right. He understands that he has to try to get to that other side. So when this ball lands right in the corner on this side, for Mark to be in an ideal position, he needs to be somewhere a little bit right of the center line, at least a little bit. In the middle of the court just leaves him too exposed. Just remember the diagram that we plotted out a little bit earlier. So as Mark moves to this shot and gets ready to hit, as Cole gets ready to hit, Mark hasn't even made it to the center of the court yet. And so he's left himself very vulnerable on this side. and hardly left any space to pass him over on the other side. And so this just sets up a mismatch. Now, if Mark has identified something with Cole's backhand where he's like, man, Cole just cannot find the court, his timing is off, it's just a weaker side, then this is a wager or a bet that can totally pay off in the long run. And again, Mark, curious, like, what are your thoughts reviewing this point? Like in hindsight, do you think you should have kept it, kind of followed the rules and gone down the line, or is cross court still like the percentage? If he does this 10 times, maybe he wins 7 of them, and that's like a huge trade. That's a big upside. So this time it didn't work out, but sometimes cross court is the right play, and I just want to show you an example of that. Watch this approach shot from Cole now on the near side. Mark kind of sits up a short ball. Cole comes forwards across court and ends up winning the point. And I want to deconstruct exactly how he did this, because it's a little bit different from Mark. When Cole comes forwards and hits this cross court, he puts a lot of height under it. Look at how high over the top of the net this ball travels. I mean, it's got to be 5-6 feet over the top of the net. And what that does is 2 things. Number one, it gives him lots of time. Look at how far he had to travel. And this is where knowing these principles is so important, because if you don't know this, then you wouldn't have given yourself all of that height to buy himself the time. This is a very purposeful thing from Cole. So Cole starts off in this position right here, and he knows after hitting this target, he's got to make his way all the way over to the other side of the court before Mark hits. So this is a lot of court, this is a lot of court to have to cover in a very short amount of time. And he's only able to do that because of the height he puts on the ball. And so not only does the height of his shot give him the appropriate amount of time to come forwards, but because he hits it with a lot of topspin, the ball ends up bouncing up at Mark and makes it a really tough shot to time. So notice the positioning here from Cole. He's in exactly the right spot, just a little bit staggered over on the other side of the shot, the other side of the court, when Mark hits, in sync with his split step. And so here, he's given Mark equal opportunity. There is a little bit of space to his left. There's also a little bit of a window to his right. And so he's given Mark an even chance. Sometimes, could it be the right play to leave a bunch of court open on one side? Sure, if you identify your opponent really can't hit cross court or down the line, then you can totally do that. But otherwise, against a strong opponent who's got weapons, it's a good idea to put yourself right smack dab in the middle and be like, here I am, block as much as possible. That's how you're going to be most successful at the net. So if this has been helpful, do me a favor and click the like button. It really helps these videos out. So thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate it. Make sure to check the comments down below. I'm sure Mark will leave us some insights from his perspective, and maybe Cole will as well. He's been commenting a little bit. Thanks for watching this video and for watching videos of Mark and Cole. And I'll leave a link to that video down in the first comment down below. If you have any comments or questions, leave those. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.